Hello everybody, nice to meet you. Our read of God Ecclesiastes chapter 1. Let's read it together. The words of the teacher, son of David, king in Jerusalem. Meaningless, says the teacher. Utterly meaningless, everything is meaningless. What does man gain from all his labor at which he toils under the sun? Generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun sets, and hurried back to where it rises. The wind blows to the south and turns to the north. Round and round it goes, ever returning on its course. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they return again. All things are wearisome, more than one can say. The eye never has enough of a thing, nor the ear is full of hearing. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything about which one can say, look, this is something new? It has here already, long ago. It was here before our time. There is no remembrance of a man of old. And even those who are yet to come will not be remembered by those who followed. I, the teacher, was the king of Israel in Jerusalem. I devoted myself to study and to explore wisdom, all that is done under the heaven, what a heavy burden God has laid on man. I have seen all the things that are done under the sun. All of them are meaningless, or chasing after the wind. What is twisted cannot be straightened. What is lacking cannot be counted. I thought to myself, look, I have grown and increased in wisdom more than anyone who has ruled over Jerusalem before me. I have experienced much of wisdom and knowledge. Then I applied myself to the understanding of wisdom, and also methodist and folly, but I learned that this too is chasing after the wind. For with much wisdom come much sorrow, the more large, the more grief. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verses 1 through 18. Thank you. Hello everybody, nice to meet you. Our little of God Ecclesiastes chapter 2. Let's read it together. I thought in my heart, come down, I will test you with pleasure to find out what is good. But that also proved to be meaningless. What I said is foolish, and what does flesh accomplish? I tried cheering myself with wine and embracing folly. My mind still guided me with wisdom. I wanted to see what was worthwhile for man to do under heaven during the few days of their lives. I undertook great projects. I built houses for myself and planted vineyards. I made gardens and parks and planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made reservoirs to water groves of flourishing trees. I bought male and female slaves and had other slaves who were born in my house. I also owned more herds and flocks than anyone in Jerusalem before me. I amassed silver and gold for myself and the treasure of kings of provinces. I acquired men and women, singers, and a harem as well. The delights of the heart of man. I became greater by far than anyone in Jerusalem before me, In all this my wisdom stayed with me. I denied myself lasting my eyes desired. I refused by heart no pleasure. My heart took delight in all my work, and this was reward for all my labor. Yet when I surveyed all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind, nothing was gained under the sun. Then I turned my thoughts to be considered wisdom and also madness and folly. What more can the king's successor do than what has already been done? I saw that wisdom is better than folly, just as light is better than darkness. The wise man has eyes in his head, while the fool walks in the darkness. But I came to realize that the same fates overtake them both. Then I thought in my heart, the fates of the fool will overtake me also. What then do I gain by being wise? I said in my heart, this too is meaningless. For the wise man, like the fool, will not be long remembered. In days to come, both will be forgotten. Like the fool, the wise man too must die. So I hate life because the work that is done under the sun was grievous to me. All of it was meaningless, or chasing after the wind. I had all the things I had toiled for under the sun, because I must have leave them to the one who comes after me, and who knows whether he will be a wise man or a fool. Yet he will have control over all the work in which I have poured my effort and skill under the sun. This too is meaningless. So my heart began to despair over all my toilsome labor under the sun. For man may do his work with wisdom, knowledge, and skill, and then he must leave all the owns to someone who has not worked for it. This too is meaningless and a great misfortune. What does a man get for all toil and anxious striving with which he labors under the sun? All his days his work is vain and grief. Even at night his mind does not rest. This too is meaningless. A man can do nothing better than to eat and drink that find satisfaction in his work. This too is, I see, is from the hand of God. For without him who can see it or find enjoyment, to the man who pleases him, God gives wisdom, knowledge, and happiness. But to the sinner, he gives the task of gathering and storing up wealth to hand it over to the one who pleases God. This too is meaningless, or chasing after the wind. Ecclesiastes chapter 2 verses 1 through 26. Thank you. Hello everybody, nice to meet you. Our little of God, Ecclesiastes chapter 3, let's read it together. There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to uproot. A time to cure, and a time to heal. A time to tear down, and a time to build. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones, and a time to gather them. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain. A time to search, and a time to give up. A time to keep, and a time to throw away. A time to tear, and a time to mend. A time to be silent, and a time to speak. A time to love, time to hate, a time for war, and a time for peace. What does the worker gain from the toil? I have seen the burden God has laid on man. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the hearts of man, yet they cannot fathom what God has done from beginning to end. I know that there is nothing better for man than to be happy and do good while he lives. That everyone may eat and drink, they find satisfaction in all this toil. This is the gift of God. I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing taken from it. God does it so that man will revere him. Whatever he has already been, and whatever he has been before, and God will call the past to account. And I saw something else under the sun, in the place of judgment. Wickedness was there, in the place of justice, wickedness was there. I thought in my heart, God will bring to judgment both the righteous and the wicked, for there will be a time for every activity, a time for every deed. I also thought, as for me, God tested them so that they see that they are like the animals. Man's fate is like this of the animals. The same fate awaits them both. As one dies, so dies the other. All have the same breath. Man has no advantage over the animals. Everything is meaningless. All go to the same place. All come from dust, and to dust will return. Who knows if the spirit of man rises upward, and if the spirit of the animal goes down into the earth? So I saw that there is nothing better for a man than to enjoy his work, because that is his lot. For who can bring him to see what will happen after him? Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Thank you. Hello everybody, nice to meet you. Our read word of God, Proverbs chapter 4, verses 1 through 16. Let's read it together. Again, I looked and saw all the oppressions that was taking place under the sun. I saw the tears of the oppressed, and they have no comforter. Power was on the side of their oppressors, and they have no comforter. And I declared that the dead who has already died and happier than the living who are still alive. But better than both is he who has not yet been, who has not seen the evil that is done under the sun. And I saw that all labor and all achievement spring from man's envy of his labor. This tree is meaningless, or chasing after the wind. The fool holds his hands and ruins himself. Better one handful with tranquility than 2 handfuls with toil and chasing after the wind. Again I saw something meaningless under the sun. There was a man all alone. He had neither son nor a brother. There was no end to his toil, yet his eyes were not content with wealth. For whom am I toil? He asked. And who am I depriving myself of the enjoyment? This too is meaningless, a miserable business. Two are fairer than one because they have a good return for their work. If one hurts down his friend, can help him up, but pity the man who hurts and has no one to help him up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm, but how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. Better a fool but wise youth than an old but foolish king who no longer knows how to take a warning. The youth may have come from prison to the kingship, or he may have been born in poverty within his kingdom. I saw that all who live and worked under the sun followed the youth, the king's successor. There was no end to all the people who were before them, but those who came later were not pleased with the successor. This too is meaningless, or chasing after the wind. Proverbs chapter 4 verses 1 through 16. Thank you. Hello everybody, nice to meet you. Our read of God, Ecclesiastes chapter 5, let's read it together. Guard your step when you go to the house of God. Go near to listen rather than to offer a sacrifice of fools who do not know that they are wrong. Do not be quick with your mouth. Do not be hasty in your heart to utter anything before God. God is in heaven, and you are on earth, so let your word with you. As a dream comes when there are many cares, so the speech of a fool when there are many words. When you make a vow to God, do not delay in fulfilling it. He has no pleasure in first. Fulfill your vow. It is better not to vow than to make a vow and not fulfill it. Do not let your mouth lead you into sin, and do not protest to the temple messenger. My vow was a mistake. Why should God be angry at what you say and destroy the work of your hands? Much dreaming and many words are meaningless. Therefore, stand in awe of God. If we see the poor oppressed in a district and justice and rights denied, do not be surprised at such things, for one official is eyed by a higher one, and over them both are others higher still. The increase from the land is taken by all. The king himself profits from the fields. Whoever loves the money never has money enough. Whoever loves wealth is never sacrificed with his income. This too is meaningless. As good increase, so do those who consume them. And what benefit are they to the owner except to feast his eye on them? The sleep of a laborer is sweet, where he eats little or much, but the abundance of a rich man vomits him low sleep. I have seen a grievous evil under the sun, wealth hold it to the harm of its owner, or wealth lost through some misfortune, so that when he has a son, there is nothing left for him. Like the man comes from his mother's womb, and as his comes, so he departs. He takes nothing from his labor that he can carry in his hand. This is true is a grievous evil. As a man comes, so he departs, and what does he gain, since he toils for the wind? All his days he eats in darkness with great frustration, affliction, and anger. Then I realized that it is good and fruitful for a man to eat and drink, and to find satisfaction in his toilsome labor under the sun during the few days of life God has given him, for this is his role. Moreover, when God gives any man wealth and possession, and enables him to enjoy them, to accept his lot, and he be happy in his work, there is a giver of God. He seldom reflects on the days of his life, because God keeps him occupied with gladness of heart. Ecclesiastes chapter 5 verses 1 through 20. Thank you.